Hey, hello, this will be video number 3, part C, and I thought a good way to discuss citing online sites would be to use Purdue OWL because they have a lot of different options and it's good to know how to find those. So by Purdue OWL, I mean Purdue University Online Writing Lab. They are the best resource I know online because they keep updating their materials based on the changes that are made. So if you go to Purdue OWL Writing Lab, I'll just go to your website here first. I kind of show you how to use this a little bit. Scroll down. It's going to say MLA Guide. You want the MLA Guide. And then I'm going to scroll down again. And then if you click MLA Formatting and Style Guide, all this stuff here on the left is what you're going to be able to need. So you have a sample paper. If you want to look at some of the changes that have been made in the past, you can look at those. Sample works cited page, all this good stuff. General formatting and MLA formatting style guide and text citations. These things have been stuff I've been going over with you already. If you want to know how to cite online sources such as websites, anything electronic, so this is going to be anything you find online, is going to be under this MLA works cited electronic sources. So I'm going to click on this. And this is going to be what you need to figure out how to cite things. Because again, everything is slightly different. No two citations are going to be exactly the same. And so it can be a little bit complicated, as I said that. So if you want to cite an entire website, so for example, say you want to cite the Purdue OWL family of sites, you would go, this would be how you would cite it. And they tell you everything you need to know. So you have, you're going to need, this is going to be the whole site, so it's in italics. So another good way of thinking about this italics quotation marks thing is going to be like, so italics is like I said a book, and quotation marks is the chapter of a book. If you think about it too as a CD, you might have like the CD is going to be your book. Your CD is going to be in italics. If you had a song on the CD, that would be in quotation marks. So that's another way of thinking about it. Here, they're not actually citing an essay. They're actually just citing the entire website because whatever the information they found is just needed on the entire website. So that would be like in italics, and you would have Online Writing Lab and OWL at Purdue OWL and Purdue University. This is the year that it was updated, and this is the URL, and then the date accessed. Of course, the department websites, similar. If you had, this is an example of that with somebody actually, like somebody's name attached, so it would maybe the instructor's name. This is an example of, like, again, I told you like a department or agency. This is a good example of this because here you have just one instructor website. Here you have an entire department. So this is no reason why you might not have like one particular author. It might be the entire department of Purdue University that's citing that information. A page in a website, so you might just have an essay on a website that you're looking at. This would be the way to go here. And again, they have examples with an author and without an author, so I think that's really helpful too. So don't just copy and paste this to your essay and think, oh, I'm good, this is the format I need. Kind of do look and see if this is the one with an author, is this the one without an author. So if they have an author, last name first, last name, first name, and then you have your article title in quotation marks, and then that whatever that website is called is going to be in italics. So here's eHow, here is WebMD, and then you have the URL. You always want to have that. Again, you don't have to put web on the side, and then one you have access, one you don't. I always say try and put access, so the date that you found this information on. Because it might not be available in the future. And these I'm going to discuss a little bit less, so like you can cite an image, an article in a web magazine. I've already given some examples about an online scholarly journal. The ones I have been giving are from an article from an online database. So an online from a scholarly journal is going to be extremely similar, but the difference is an online database. You have this here, Wiley Online Library, which is the same as EBSCOhost or JSTOR. And again, I'll have another video about how to access those. You're not going to quite need those right away, but I think it is helpful to note You can cite an email, a discussion board, a tweet, you could YouTube video, you can cite a whole bunch of stuff. So that's going to be kind of how to cite the website. It's going to be really important. If you're unsure about other things like books, again, there's works cited page books, and you can figure out some information from that. You have the basic book format. This is super basic. Book with one author, book with more than one author, 2 or more books with the same author, book by a corporate organization, book with no author, translated book, republished book, an edition of a book, the anthology or collection. That's what I discussed earlier in the last video. You can really find a lot of things. If you're ever confused about what you're actually citing, and you have one, please let me know. An example of this here, this is going to be our first complex book entry. So if you look on the syllabus here, I have a lot of tabs up on my computer right now. So for example, if I went to Purdue Owl on books, this is going to be a book. It's just a small excerpt from it. What I like to do, and this is going to be a good example of this, book with one author. I'm just going to kind of take this here. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. And I'm going to make a new slide here so we can have a good idea of what we're doing. This is not working out for me. Okay, and I'm going to paste it here. And that kind of gives us our format. So these are the 2 authors of the book right here. If we see on the side, I'm going to have a little bit of trouble getting this out, making sure you can see both screens. But you have here both the authors, as discussed before. You're going to have Richard Miller. You're going to have Miller, Richard E. And whatever author they have listed, whether their name, either middle initial or full for middle name or no middle name at all, you put how they have it. And okay. And then the title of this textbook is going to be Habits of the Creative Mind. So if I go to italics, this is going to be, say, Habits of the Creative Mind. And if you notice here, because it is an essay, I'm going to roll down here. This is where you're going to have your year published. It's going to be on learning. So instead of just having the title of the book, we're going to, in between here, we're going to have on learning. So see how this is a little bit more confusing. It can get really confusing, okay? Habits of the Creative Mind. And then we need the publisher, right? That's the next thing we need. The publisher is going to be down here. It's going to be Bedford St. Martin's, okay? So I'm going to take it in Bedford. You don't want it in italics. I'll take the italics off. Okay, and then you don't need the city anymore. So the Boston and New York part is now irrelevant. It used to be relevant to the citations, but it's not. And then you would put the year it was published, which would be 2016, and you see this copyright here, 2016. And then because we need a page range, we're going to come down here and see what pages they are on. So we see the first page starts on 16. And we're going to do PP 16 through, and scroll down here, and we'll see where it ends, and it ends on page 18. Okay, so 2 pages. And that would be your citation. It is a little bit confusing. It's not a straightforward book, because what's normally what you would have here is like maybe an editor. This is a textbook, and they wrote it themselves, but we're only citing just these few things. If you these were the editors, you would see edited by. Okay, and a lot of them will have that edited by them. But these are the authors of this, and this is the first citation, and I kind of wanted you to break that down because it can be a little bit more confusing. If you were having a textbook, like a chapter of your textbook, this would probably be a similar way of doing it, because the people who are writing a textbook are also writing those chapters, but you're not citing the entire textbook, you're just citing a small chapter within that textbook. So this here, Habits of the Creative Mind, is another textbook, but I kind of like these 2 pages. 2 or 3 pages. It's going to kind of help us out a little bit to talk about 5-paragraph essays, but this would be a correct citation for that, and I hope that kind of breaks it down for you and understand what we're doing. I want to make this bigger here. Okay. So moving on, Just a few other things I wanted to discuss. If there's no page number, you would put NP. No, if there's no date, ND. If there's no publisher, I would really hope that you would not use that citation. You would not use that essay because it's probably not credible. Cutting and pasting, again, we're not using citation generators. What I'm hoping this will help you do is actually learn how to cite yourself. You won't, because these are PDFs, you won't be able to actually put them in a citation generator, so you're going to have to cite yourself. If you need any questions about citing, please let me know. But do not copy and paste. The citation generators could put them in the wrong MLA format or the APA format. Some few things about shorter quotations. If they're fewer than 4 lines, you would do it just normally. One of these examples, block quotes, if you have more than 4 lines, you would, and you can actually find out examples from this. What I always like to do is just go back to Purdue Owl. And what I will type in, because I do have the examples from here, I'll just do Purdue Owl block quote. And they will show you everything you need to know there as well. So shorter quotations and then longer quotations. So if it's more than 4 lines, that means if you find a quotation that's more than 4 lines, you would just indent over about ½ an inch and just put tab. And you wouldn't actually put a quotation mark around these. For these essays we're writing in this class, I would frown upon if you had too many block quotes, because that would just, it would seem like you're not actually doing the writing yourself. You don't have too much of other people's writing. You want to have your own writing too. But you might have a sentence up here that would set that up, and then you would have that block quote. It should come after, the citation is going to come after that, the writing piece of writing you have, but you're not actually going to have quotation marks on there. But for any quotation you have that's over 4 lines. Omitting words, if you need to kind of omit language, you should maybe just need the first part of the sentence and the second part of the sentence. You put these ellipses, which basically means it's 3 dots, ... So including the MLA format. That works really well if you don't need the entire quotation, just part of it. Adding words to quote. So this works if you have a sentence out of a piece or an article or book you found, and they weren't specific in the actual quote you need, but they were maybe specific earlier in the text. You could change that and say, who retell urban legends. So that's probably, some individuals who retell urban legends. They were probably specific about that in another quote in the text, but in terms of the quote you need, they weren't. So you can add language to that and put it in brackets. That's basically saying that you added language, but it's not part of the quotation, and it's safe to do that. Summarizing paraphrases, I kind of went over that already, so I'll kind of skim through past that. And just please pay attention to punctuation. I've said this before, but if you have any type of, like this one, if you have any type of citation here, your period is going to go after the quotation mark. It's not going to go here. If you didn't have the citation, so say it was maybe you saying something in quotation marks, or you're quoting a friend, you'd want to put that before the quotation mark instead of after. Okay, so be that. Okay, if there's no citation. However, if there's a citation, you would put, you could put that after the parentheses. That's going to be really important. All right, this is the end of the MLA format videos. If you note the quiz that we have, you should go to Jeffco Blackboard. And I'm going to show you where that is again. I showed it in the first video, but it's going to be really important. It's going to make me sign in, I think. And going to our Blackboard page here on the side, this is also going to be under week 1. Okay. The PowerPoint I just showed you, it's going to be citations and formatting, and the MLA quiz week 1. It will be under participation as your grade, but please do that here. The due date, of course, it's going to be Thursday, September 6th. You should have that video. They should have that, all the videos watched and the quiz finished by 11:59 p.m. on Thursday the 6th. Right, the next video you should be watching is video number 4, which is going to discuss commonplace book